Sometimes you just can't make up a funny little gimmick except just say, "How about them Cowboys?" Hey everybody, I'm Cortez and I'm a critic, and welcome back. We're continuing our NFL 2025 recap, and we're now in the NFC East. And we're going to talk about them boys from Dallas. As I'm not saying Jerry Jones may have lost a step, but I feel like the confidence he gives off makes you go, yeah, but. So let's talk about Dallas. Good old Dallas Cowboys. Because how about them? Now, the Dallas Cowboys last year, I felt like they took a step back, and that was not obvious by the Michael Parsons trade that made everyone in Green Bay go, yeah. And that Michael Parsons got hurt, so it was kind of like, eh. But then the trades, and then I'm going to call excuses about why they made the trade and how really the Dallas, give credit to the coaching staff. A whole new coaching regime, not really the most like elegant of staff, and you're just like, really, this is who we have. This is what we have as our coaching. Give credit to what credit's due. The offense was humming. The George Pickens acquisition was kind of surprising, especially when you find out about sorry, I'm just doing something here quickly. That you would assume that Dallas will be fine, but then CD went out, then Pickens stepped up, and Brian Schottenheimer. Now I was trying to find the coach's name. Look out my brain. But even I have like, what was the head coach's name of Dallas? Yeah, it didn't make the impact, but give him credit. The Dallas Cowboys, for most part, besides the defense being a major letdown, but it's kind of hard when you take away one of your best players, and then your other best player, Diggs, just lost a step, and then he's gone. So with all that, it just felt like the Cowboys were basically had to be the greatest show on turf in order to be competitive. And there were games this season that clearly said that the Cowboys offense has to carry the load. And I think the most apparent one was the week 4 matchup, the 40-40 tie with Green Bay. Now, I have no real dog in that fight, but there's a part of me thinking, Cowboy fans crying or Green Bay Packers frustrated? Which one is a better story? But also, I think that matchup should be a clear indication we need to end the tie. But I feel like getting owners to make rule changes of that magnitude seems like that's an obvious choice. Let's end the tie. We don't want to watch a 40-40 burger. But it's about the player safety. Okay. I just feel like that's an excuse to cover up the fact that, but you can find ways to, stop the tie. I mean, college football did that. I'm not a fan of the new college football overtime rules of base having 2-point conversions, back and forth, until it's over. But there's a small part thinking at least it eliminates the tie. I mean, if they play one full half, then go for 2-point conversion for the rest of the game. Or better yet, make it a 2-point conversion, but the ball's at the 5-yard line. Don't put it right at the 2-yard line, put it at the 5-yard line, and it's one play. It's 4th and goal at the 5, and it's worth 2 points. And then you go back and forth, and you see what happens. It just feels very like you don't want to try, guys. You don't want to try. Because I understand it was a 13-13 tie, and we've seen some of those. But a 40-40 tie that was on a prime time attention spot, and it ends in a tie just feels like, wow, I don't feel satisfied nor disappointed. I just feel frustrated. So that's something in a small tangent, but that to me pretty much sums up the Cowboys. The offense is incredibly dynamic, the defense gives up, and then when it's all said and done, you go, I don't feel happy, but I don't feel angry. I just feel annoyed. Now, I'm trying to remember my notes. But I put the Cowboys as an 8-9 team, and I don't know if that was because it was the Michael Parsons trade that happened, and then that's what made me change it, or was it before that? But I felt like the Cowboys, and like I said, we still had 16 game schedule, not 17. Cowboys to me was an 8-8 team. So 8-9, 9-8 was like the soft spot I was going in. But I went with 8-9 because I feel like when it came to the end of the season, they would probably lose the game that will probably put them over 500. But if things went really south, and I think I'm thinking in my head it probably was because of the Michael Parsons thing, and we find out that how much Michael Parsons kind of covered up the defense, which is how I feel about the Steelers if T.J. Watt goes away, how much he kind of covers up the defense. Then 6-11, really bad, and plus I was also thinking that George Pickens would not be as great as he was this year, especially when CeeDee Lamb was out and George had to beat the guy, and he proved us all wrong. Now the question is, will Jerry Jones respect that? And I respect that by giving him the big contract, because I think George deserves it. But also George has that thing called baggage that most receivers from Pittsburgh get somehow. But you guys went 7-9-1. So in hindsight, you're basically what I thought you guys were going to be. I mean, no one really predicts a tie in prediction videos, but you guys were. So to me, I guess you were, but it was a very glaring, drastic difference between the offense and the defense. So to me, that was the big glaring thing. But there were some moments of greatness. And I think your best game was Week 12 versus Philadelphia. For the two big factors of, one is Philadelphia. It's a division foe. NFC East. Rivalry as cutthroat and bloodthirsty as, sibling rivalry in a NASCAR match. There's blood and loyalty, and even the most humblest and, humanitarian guy will be like, I hate the Eagles. Well, bite me, cowboy. So, and the big thing about the game that, to me, because I might be hinting at someone's worst game, maybe. Like I said in my past videos, if you have a 3 touchdown lead and you're on the road, or a 3 score lead and you're on the road and you blow it, it's going to probably be your worst game more than likely. I don't care if you win the Super Bowl or not, that's still going to be your worst game because that's what happened. You had a 21-point lead against a Cowboy team that if they have not scored by the time you're up 21-0, I do not see the Cowboys offense be able to come back for it, because then you got to rely on the defense to get stops. Then you remember, oh wait, this is Philadelphia. Philadelphia has this chronic condition of disappointing. Anything and everything, Philadelphia has this knack to, let's disappoint ourselves, let's disappoint the coaches, let's disappoint the fans, let's disappoint Philadelphia with our play. Whether it's consistencies, poor tackling, drama on the sideline with players, coaching, bickering with fans, whatever. Let's mess ourselves up. And let's do it for Dallas. Why? Now, the win for Dallas kept them at 500, which is only 5-1. So there was still that inkling of hope. Hope is there for Dallas. Hope. And Philadelphia, even though when Dallas did win, I did not believe it's like, oh, this is going to lead the spark to the playoffs. I'd be like, Philadelphia might ruin this for themselves. Even if they win the division, they might win the division as not the top seed, but kind of like, meh. Like, not NFC South bad, but you're comfortable of home field advantage wasn't a factor. And Philadelphia, it wasn't a factor. So it really didn't matter in the end, really. But this was your guys' best game because it showcased that even though your defense has been inconsistent to be nice, the offense can salvage it, and a 21-point down deficit to come back at home, make your fans do it. Even though there were a time where I'm like, Dallas, don't blow it. Dallas, don't blow it. Dallas, don't blow it. You didn't. You got the win against division foe. It's your best game, and probably showed, at least at the time, you guys still had heart. Your worst game, though, took place a few weeks earlier at home. Funny enough, week 9, Arizona, against Arizona. So this was the case of, what is wrong with you guys? No disrespect to Arizona. I mean, this was Arizona's last win. So they lost the rest of the way. So good thank you for reminding everyone that every week we go, well, the last victory was against Dallas and Dallas. The last victory for Arizona was against Dallas. Dallas's was the last team Arizona could beat. So good job reminding everyone that every time they mention Arizona's success, they remember how you're the one that gave them their last victory. Good to know. It was still fairly early in the year. I mean, this one they went 3-5, and then they went 5-5 with Philadelphia, so they did strive to make a comeback for the season. But this was still on that cusp of, we have no defense, and the offense falls apart. Then we're stuck. We are so one-dimensional, one-sided football team that Arizona, of all teams, can come into our house. Because I will tell you right now, the way the Cardinals were looking, even with Jacoby Brissett was playing fantastic, for the Cardinals trying to salvage something of a season, this probably should have been a good win for you guys. Probably. I mean, I was concerned putting the Carolina game, but they won the division, so they kind of put more weight on it. But you guys losing to Arizona, who only had 3 wins, and number 3 was you guys, kind of put that more of a stank on your team. And just looking at the stats, so I'll write the stats down here. You guys, it was 340 to 333 yards. You're only 6 yards different, but the big glaring thing is this lovely thing called turnovers. 3 turnovers. Like I said, even the best teams, you turn the ball over too many times, it could kill you. And that was the big factor. It was the turnovers. You guys just, for whatever reason, you played a game where you felt like we had to be perfect. But against Arizona's, like, how bad were those turnovers in crucial situations for that to happen? Because there were times where even I was thinking, it's Arizona. Your offense should be able to go, because Arizona's defense has not been great for the longest time, at least not according to themselves. So this should have been a win for Dallas. But, c'est la vie. You guys didn't win. And it was the worst game for obvious reasons of you guys just, messing up the worst times. Now going to your MVP, I'm giving it to Dak Prescott. Now, I understand that giving MVP usually goes to the quarterback, but I was thinking giving it to George Pickens for what he was able to do. But then I come across, he had 1,400 yards himself. But there's a part where I look over at Dak Prescott. He had 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 4,500 yards. He didn't have CeeDee Lamb, and he had to rely on George Pickens. So you can make an argument that it was a mutual understanding. But there were times, even Williams, the running back, had 1,200 yards. So the offense was clicking on all cylinders. But for Prescott, it just felt that if Prescott was as bad as the debate goes on, then when CeeDee Lamb went down, the lack of chemistry with Pickens should have been the major glaring weaknesses, and they probably should have lost more games. But because Prescott is a good caliber quarterback, in my humblest opinion, I think he's not top 5, but I think he's above average in the top tier. Just for whatever reason, he doesn't do well. Justin Herbert has not even won a playoff game, and he's considered one of the top tier quarterbacks. Just saying. Prescott and Pickens had to build chemistry. Now, granted, you could say, well, then that's why George Pickens deserves the MVP. I'm like, I have the argument for that. But there have been times where only thing that Dallas has is CeeDee Lamb. And he had to step up, and I can see the argument for that. But Prescott, with new receiver, to have not built chemistry, and then to build chemistry, you have to trust the receiver to make the plays. I can see the argument for George Pickens, and there were times where I was flipping flopping, but the big thing to me for it was that there were times where George Pickens, didn't play well, and there were times where Prescott, had to make do with others. And there were times where he was able to give both CD and Pickens, reception, not to mention Ferguson and others. So I can clearly see the argument for Pickens. I'm just giving it to Dak Prescott because if this was second year with Pickens, then I can see that. But I'm giving it to Prescott a little bit more because Prescott had to rely on others besides his security blanket in number 88. That's my argument there. Grade for the Dallas Cowboys. As disappointing the season was, I still think they were better than teams that actually made the playoffs. And it's a B. You are literally playing with one hand behind your back this whole time. The defense, and I'm not trying to be mean to the defense, but when Diggs is not playing the way he was when he was an MVP defensive caliber player, and then your identity of your defense of sacking quarterbacks, and both Lawrence and Micah both gone, it just feels like, what is the identity of the Dallas Cowboys defense? Besides diehard Dallas Cowboy fans, when you think of Dallas, and I say Dallas defense, go, like modern day. Besides the free agency acquisition they got this offseason, you just kind of feel like, who in the Dallas Cowboy is the identity? Like, every team has that player that, when you think of Cleveland defense, you think of Myles Garrett. You think of the Bucs at the time, it was Levante David, but now he's gone. The Bucs. When you think of the 49ers, it's Bosa or Fred Warner. You think of Seattle back in the day, it was Richard Sherman or Chancellor. So everyone had like an identity of a player. Dallas, unless you're a diehard Cowboys fan, who is really... Is it Bland? The corner? I don't know. But yeah, that's something there to consider moving forward. So a B is a grade. I'll give it a B for them. Now, Dallas has 2 first-round picks when it comes to the draft, and at 12 and at 20. So this is where you're thinking, if Jerry Jones can hit even 90s, but 2 home runs with these 2 picks, which I really believe it's going to build that defense. But I swear to God, if he gets like Jeremiah Love, the running back, I'll be like, why, Jerry? Why? I will say Dallas is going heavily to build that defense up. Basically using it to replace, and I want to say they're going to use it to replace the 2 players that lost in Diggs and Micah. So, in no real particular order, but just keep these names around. Dallas, I have Sonny Styles, the linebacker at Ohio State. Defensive back type ability, aggressive, hard hitter, good captain to be built up moving forward. If Arvell Reese somehow falls all the way to 12th, which I don't think he'll fall out of top 5, but if he does, then I'm thinking that's the Micah Parsa, identity replacement. But I don't think he's going to fall past 5 if he does fall past 2. Now they want to place corner, then I go with Mazinor Delane, cornerback at LSU. Get that cornerback, category, kind of rejuvenated. But I always feel like if the pass rush doesn't work, then your corners can only be so good so much for themselves. And if somehow they use their picks to move up, not saying use both, but maybe use their 20th pick and trade with somebody who wants more depth, then I'm going to throw this out there as they'll get David Bailey, the edge from Texas Tech. And the only real reason why I want to do that is because how cool is a Texas Tech player going to play in Dallas? That's kind of funny story there. But I feel like Dallas is going to use their 2 picks to get a corner and a pass rusher, linebacker. I feel like that's where they're going to go. And that is the Dallas Cowboys. Boy, that video was longer than I expected. I apologize. I ranted too much. But the Cowboys deserve all the attention, so I guess I'll give them all the attention. So next, we're going to go to the Washington Commanders, who just announced their new alternate uniform that looks very nice, very clean, very retro. Still keeping a little bit of that Redskin aura in there, so no one's gonna be offended completely. But for Washington, we'll see what's gonna happen after our great rookie season with Daniels to broken arms and broken Bings and broken spirits and broken and a broken stadium to where do we go now? But that's next time. So until next time, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you so very much for watching.